So today's talk is about mental equivalence, and it's about the container that we have placed our life in, and how do we expand that, or how do we recreate it if things aren't quite the way we would like, or what is it that we need to do? Well, today's talk is what you water grows, and what you fear shows. Hmm. So we begin by acknowledging that the power and presence of the One is fully active within each and every one of us. And as a result of that, everything that we do comes from within us. Everything that we experience begins within us. How we respond to things begins within us. And so we want to set up the idea that where I focus my attention, that's what grows. Doesn't matter if it's positive or negative, it's just where's my intention? That's where things are going to grow. Ernest Holmes says, whatever you continually give your attention to expands, and whatever you continually energize with fear also expands. You might want to write that one down. So conditions don't create themselves. What happens is the situation that we find ourselves in is actually revealing the content of consciousness, ours and the collective. So a mental equivalent is like a container that we would put a seed into to watch it grow. Or, if you were around many years ago when people used to serve Jello salads, you'd put Jello into a mold, and after it's set, you'd flip it over and there would be something that matched the bowl that it was in. Well, mental equivalents are like that. What I think about, the way I look at the world, the way I feel about people, places, things, Google, that one was for Sharon. I have troubles with Google sometimes. So whatever the container is that we create, that is what will express in our lives, nothing more, nothing less. Okay? So I want you to really think about the question, what am I watering and what am I feeding with fear? Think about that for a second. What am I watering? What am I feeding with fear? So when we look at various conditions and different things, we start to see all manner of different results. Ernest Holmes wrote, "Pay no attention to what happens in the objective world when you are making a demonstration. We interpret causes by conditions only as we realize that a condition must partake of the nature of its cause." Right? So what I'm thinking about becomes manifest. What I'm focusing on becomes manifest. What I'm fearing shows up in some way or another in my life. So where is my attention and what is my intention? So we want to take a look at those things. So the way to work out a problem scientifically is to take it up and think about it daily and conceive of it as already being an accomplished experience. So, for example, when we do spiritual mind treatment is, we sit with a practitioner and that practitioner creates an image in mind that matches the truth of your being and whatever it is that you've asked for or requested. So the practitioner is going to see beyond the condition, is going to see beyond what you believe is wrong or what's happening, is going to see past that to the divine truth that is already within you. So when they're looking at you and they're speaking these words of treatment, they're not looking at the problem and treating it to go away. They're treating for you to realize a whole new idea about life and living. So we don't focus on the problem. We go back within to first cause. Everything begins as an idea in mind. There's no other way it can be created. So what we want to do is begin to experience a whole shift in the way that we think. Begin to look at the world from a new vantage point. Begin to celebrate and to acknowledge all that we have to be grateful for. When we focus our attention on gratitude and grace, when we live from a place of possibility and opportunity, when we start to see that every problem could be an opportunity to see things in a new way, or to shift perspective, or to really awaken that dream that we've been holding inside of us and allowing it to come out, to express, and to be. So where are we? Where are we in this process? Do we feel like we are creating our world and our experience, or do we feel like somebody's doing it to us? See, how we perceive it is up to us. No one else, just us. So when we're doing anything, like when we're doing treatment or we're doing anything like that, what we're doing is we're returning our energy back to the original and first idea that we are, in fact, perfect, whole, and complete. It's how we were created. And that soul aspect of us has never been touched by any problem, any challenge, any circumstance. It simply is now and has always been perfect, whole, and complete. So we want to drop our awareness to that and begin to allow that to, pardon me, move through us and awaken us to a bigger idea. Ernest Holmes wrote, "The law is infinite and perfect. But in order to make a demonstration, we must first have a mental equivalent of the thing we desire." So what is it that you desire? Let's create a mental equivalent of that. So what you want to do is begin to see in your mind's eye the accomplishment of the fact. Begin to see in your mind's eye that which you wish to experience in your life. So instead of being fearful or worrying or trying to work out how it's going to happen, pardon me, we turn around instead and we begin to go, what could it look like? And we begin to imagine some great thing. So I remember when I was first thinking of coming to Toronto to start a center, I imagined all the time being here, sharing this information, allowing it to transform lives. Pardon me. It began with a dream. So that's the seed idea. That's first cause. That's first cause. Now, however long it takes from that moment to now, or to the realization of the dream, takes as long as it takes. It can't be rushed. A wonderful teacher and minister and speaker, Martha Creek, said, "You can't get a bean plant to grow by pulling on it." I thought, wow, that is brilliant. Because we try to force our manifestations. We try to make things happen in our image rather than accepting and knowing that everything is happening in divine order. So we want to begin to let go of some of our impatience and start to realize that we are fully connected and fully present. So Ernest Holmes wrote, "Consequently, the range of our possibilities at the present time does not extend far beyond the range of our present concepts." So imagine you're going to apply for a new job and you've been making, 40 grand a year forever. And you go to this new job and you're thinking, "Oh, I'd really love a higher wage, but you don't ask for it and you don't make it as part of the negotiation, but rather you just sit back at some point and go, so what's the pay?" If you even ask. And then you find out it's exactly the same as what you've always been earning. What's happened is not that the universe has withheld a raise from you. What has happened is your consciousness is not yet ready to accept that greater good. There may be a part of you somewhere that is accepting that maybe you're not enough. Maybe you're not quite good enough. You're not as good as those people, whoever they might be, right? So we come to that place and we want to shift that perspective. We want to remember whose we are. We want to remember that I am the divine made manifest, not separate from or different than. I am it. Now, of course, not the all of it, but all that it has, the attributes that it has are mine. And I can use them. In fact, I am using them. And whether I use them for fear and cause pain in my life, or I use them for love and joy and peace and create great prosperity and wonder in my life, either way, it's just energy moving. That's something we really have to get our heads wrapped around. It is energy moving. It doesn't judge, it doesn't comprehend, it doesn't decide. It simply flows. The law is exact. What goes in must come out. It's a little bit like your computer. You put a piece of software in and you've got, maybe QuickBooks or Word or something. But if a virus goes in, everything gets destroyed. So we want to recognize with our mind that what are we feeding it? What are we putting into it? Whatever we're putting in is creating a mental equivalent for the life that we are going to live. And if there's something going on in your life that you go, whoa, I don't like this very much, don't focus on the fact that you don't like it. Ask yourself the question, what would I like instead? And an idea will pop up. Something will come into your awareness. Treat for that. Treat for that. Begin to focus your attention on that. Begin to create a dream world. Imagine that, you've got this great, well, in my case, this great ministry that is expanding and growing and changing lives and being just a remarkable and powerful experience in the world. And if I focus on that and hold that thought and keep that idea within me alive, okay, not to sit back and say a mantra every day that is exactly the same, but to keep the idea alive, to think about it, to share ideas about it, to write about it, to journal about it, go into meditation about it. This and now what? What is it that I need to do or be in order to manifest what it is I say that I desire? You see, the universe only says one thing to us. The law is exact. It only says yes. However, we say no. Where are you saying no? Where are you saying no? In what capacity did you make the decision to accept less than what you deserve? Many of us have done that. Many of us have done that. So Ernest Holmes talks about the way to proceed is to begin right where we are. It's not scientific to attempt to begin somewhere else. Got to start where we are. He goes on to say this would be chaotic. One who understands the systematic use of the law will realize that there is where we are because of what we are. So where we are is because of what we are. But we will not say, I must be where I am because of what I am. But that's the truth. My life is reflecting who I believe myself to be. That's the law of attraction. It's not putting a bunch of stuff on a vision board and going, oh, magically make my life like that. No, it doesn't work that way. I have to accept inside of me that I'm worthy, that I'm divine, that I am part of this creative, powerful universe, that I'm one with all that is. I have to do that. I have to change my mind to see a greater vision, a greater idea. And until I do that, I will continue to create what I've already got. I hope this is making sense to you. Remember, we do have a chit-chat time at the end here where we can ask questions or share insights. Ernest Holmes says, stay with the one and never deviate from it. Never leave it for a moment. Nothing else can equal this attitude. To desert the truth in the hour of need is to prove that we don't know the truth. When things look the worst is a supreme moment to demonstrate to yourself that there are no obstructions. There are no obstructions. The only obstruction is right here. It's right here. The person who can throw themselves with complete abandon into the limitless sea of receptivity, having cut loose from all apparent moorings, is the one who will always receive the greatest reward. Take a breath. Yes, take a breath. What you water grows, and what you fear also grows, if that's where your attention is. See, the life that we're living is not by accident. The life that we're living is created by the consciousness that we possess. It also is created by the consciousness of the world that we live in. Remember, we're all one. And if one of us is distressed, that distress is felt through all. There is only one. There is only one. And you have within you all of the attributes of the one. So it's up to you. What are you going to do with it? Going to water the good stuff and breathe into the fear and see it as false evidence appearing real. And when we get through that part of the fear, we can go to feeling excited and ready and begin to live from that new level of excitement. That's where we want to go. Water what is beautiful and lovely in your life. Be grateful for all that you have and all that you are, and watch the shift that transpires. Namaste.